This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 52 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Andy.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Eddie.
Join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries, right here on Paranormal Dads. Deuce. Here we go, boys. We got a good one lined up here. We got a little variety, little something for everybody, and we hope all the listeners have been eagerly anticipating this episode. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
Doing well.
We're into the new year. 2021 is upon us.
And it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be...
It has to be. It has to be better.
It's got a lot to be, right?
Quiet. We got to be like, shh. Don't scare this year. Don't scare it away.
Doesn't have to do much.
Just don't be 2020. That's all we ask.
Well, hopefully everyone is off to a good start so far in 2021, and we pre-apologize for Eddie's belching. He's just tossing back sodas like nobody's business.
Listen, I need that Dr. Pepper juice today. I need the Peps. I need it.
We all need a little pick-me-up every now and then.
Exactly. So here you go with your extra peppy episode of Paranormal Dads. Should we dive right into it? Who's on board for recent sightings this time, guys?
Who's on first? What's on second? Actually, I am who and the what. I've got recent sightings.
Woo!
So this is actually coming straight from NBC News, guys. This is real legit.
This wasn't
big-time story.
This wasn't from Grandpa Joe's blog. This is from a credible source.
This is from the National Broadcasting Corporation.
Do peacocks have lips, Andy?
I don't know. Did you say straight from the peacock's lips?
I did.
I can't work in this environment. I'm not prepared to answer such questions, Eddie.
Tell me!
A bill? A beak? I don't know what peacocks have.
I don't know.
Well, if you go to, there's a bar here in Omaha called Tanner's. They sell chicken lips, so peacocks probably have lips.
Yeah, I've been there before. They have good food, but every time I see that on the menu, I'm like, just like, give me a burger. I'm good.
You hover over it with your finger. No, not today.
Anyway, so this goes back about a month, December 8th, 2020, in an article posted by Adelia Suleiman and Paul Goodman of NBC News. And it was, the headline was, former Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. So the former head of Israel's defense ministry, man by the name of Haim Eshed, said aliens exist. They have been in contact with leaders here on Earth and have asked us not to publish that they are here because humanity is not ready for it. But apparently there's something called the Galactic Federation, and it has been waiting for humans to reach a stage where we will understand what space and spaceships are.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think we're there yet.
What are they waiting for is my question. This is, for me, the chicken and the egg, man. We get ready by knowing we have to be ready. Have they checked out what humans do? We're not
yet. At what stage of enlightenment do we need to reach before we could accept news like that?
Yeah, we only do things when we have to.
Well, I don't know. I think some people would accept it, and for some people it would clash with their religious beliefs, or, you'd have a hodgepodge. Then again, studies show that a huge percent of the population, it's way over 50% now, openly believe in the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
Yep.
The vast majority of those people believe we're already being visited. And I don't know, as far as are we advanced enough to accept this? I remember a documentary I watched years ago with Dr. Michio Kaku, who's kind of a well-known science dude. He talks a lot about, he has books out. He talks a lot about the advancement of human and, extraterrestrial civilization. And he's talking about the types of civilizations, type 0, type 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it goes up to 4. He says humans are a type 0 population, meaning we are not even advanced enough to control the planet, the weather on our own planet.
And that is Kaku burn right there.
Yeah, Kaku burn in your face. Kaku throwing shade at us, man. But
when you can think about the different stages of the human race here on Earth, because you've got tribes that shoot arrows at airplanes and fill up, an airplane like it's some kind of a beast flying over their villages in remote areas of the world. And so there are different stages just in the human race of what is knowledge,
Yep.
Well, and, and also consider, how primitive we are, as wonderful as humans can be in the grand scheme of things, we haven't been around very long. And, if these aliens who are visiting us are thousands of years more advanced, I mean, can you imagine, like, all the technology that we presently have available has more or less been developed in the last 100 years?
Yeah.
So imagine a civilization that's been around tens of thousands, perhaps tens of millions of years longer than we have. Their technology would border on magic. I mean, it wouldn't even be science. It would be magical to us. And so, are we ready to come to grips with that? I don't know. But this defense secretary of Israel says they're already here, Pat. He says Trump knows about it. Everyone knows about it.
Yeah. So the interview was actually conducted in Hebrew, but it gained traction after parts were published in English by the Jerusalem Post. And a shed said the aliens were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand the fabric of the universe. Apparently there's cooperation agreements between us and the aliens. They've been signed, including an underground base in the depths of Mars where there currently are American astronauts and alien representatives present, which is just mind-boggling. So, I can see why some of us might not be ready to accept that if something like that would actually be true, that we, not only are we always talking about going to Mars, we're already there, according to this. There's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed the contract with us to do experiments here, this report said. So what experiment those would be, I don't know. But he also added that President Trump is aware of the extraterrestrials' existence and has been on the verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria.
So we're not going to, obviously we're not going to turn this into a political discussion because this is not a political podcast. But I will say, no matter which party you subscribe to, I think we can all agree that Trump is an outspoken individual, to say the least. And I don't know, I've kind of been disappointed. I thought if any president in history would kind of blow the whistle on it, either intentionally or accidentally, maybe he'd let something fly off in a Twitter rant, to say what he knows about extraterrestrials, but
I would totally agree with you 100%. It's like if anybody would have let something out, I would think it would have been him, and he hasn't. So you know that there's a lot of pressure on the upper levels of the government that if you even share any of this information,
you did.
It's not going to be tolerated, right?
Yeah.
Well, and a couple presidents throughout history have expressed, an interest in it. Sure, Ronald Reagan was quoted many times, talking about if there was a extraterrestrial threat, from some other civilization, humanity would put its differences aside and join forces together. Jimmy Carter actually officially reported a UFO sighting that he had back in the day before he took office.
Right.
And I think there was Obama was kind of quiet about the subject of UFOs in general. People asked Clinton about it all the time, and he kind of jokingly dodged it. But, he said he would like to know, and he was frustrated that he didn't know any answers, just the same as all of us. But
there were stories about Nixon as well. Nixon supposedly took somebody to actually see a UFO. Famous actor, I can't remember who it was. No,
that's right.
I think we talked about it on an earlier show.
We did. It's really interesting because some of the stuff I've come across too with this was like there's some presidents they do tell and some they don't. I'm like, that's crazy too, because you would think that you got to love the phantom they, but you would think that if you're the president, you're getting that information no matter what. But there's reports that there's specifically some presidents who they just withheld that from. Well, I think Bush was one of them. They were like, we're not telling him.
Well, and it makes you wonder too if the presidents who are most interested in it are, not given the information for fear that they might, what if some guy got into office, to president specifically with that agenda in mind? Okay, tell me everything you can about UFOs, and then the CIA is like, nope, don't tell this guy. He's gonna let everybody know the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
He has a podcast called Paranormal Dads. Don't do it. Don't tell him. It's the worst idea. And man, this doesn't surprise me either, though, that we would be working with them too. Like, we'll help you change your tires in space. It's good.
Here's my thought process, and this has always been my hang up when it comes to the thought of extraterrestrials giving us advanced technology. That could end very disastrously. That would be like, okay, what if, as a gift to a 8-year-old kid, you give him the keys to your Porsche? In theory, it's nice, but he's not mature enough to operate a vehicle, that could potentially harm himself and others. So I'm like, if they're giving us keys to, spacecraft that can blow up planets and navigate through wormholes, are we mature enough to use it? Are we ethical enough to use something like that? I don't think we are yet. I think some people are, but a lot of us aren't,
I'm going to say I admire the sophistication of your argument, Andy, because I was thinking I'm kind of bummed that this has already happened because I wanted to be the first guy to high five an alien on Mars. That's all I wanted. What's like the high five on Mars?
Eddie would be the 8-year-old in the spaceship.
This button do.
You'd have to give him a high 3. They only have 3 fingers.
Oh yeah, you got to give him that one. You got to hold back the other 2 fingers.
Well, but anybody who wants, you can go, I'm looking at the news article right now on my phone. It's, again, through NBC and, I don't know, credible. You got people that high up the level of command, the former defense secretary, of Israel. I don't know. That's pretty credible. And you said it was initially came out in Hebrew before it was translated to English.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the Hebrew word is for probing.
And there's also a book mentioned in the article. Apparently this guy has a book coming out, or somebody is writing a book about this guy's career, and they go into more detail. So that might be an interesting read too, if you're looking for a late Christmas present for anyone.
Ooh.
Check it out. It's listed there in the article.
All right. Well, thanks for pulling that one up for us, Pat.
It's time for pop, culture, and the paranormal.
All right. I hope you guys and our fun listeners are all ready for the pop culture and paranormal. Like most all of us listening, I think we all grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons. You get up early, you have your pajamas on, or if you're like me, I slept in a potato sack with a brown paper bag for a tank top. And I'd run to the kitchen, get a big old mixing bowl, and you fill it up with your favorite breakfast cereal. But today, we're going to discuss our favorite spooky paranormal breakfast cereals. Look at Pat. He's excited now.
His mouth is watering.
I'm hungry.
So this is brought to you in proud participation with our good friends over at MrBreakfast.com. So make sure you check out MrBreakfast.com for all of your breakfast food comparisons and needs. So With that, we're going to go down the top 10. And I did a little bit more digging, and these are the most fun ones to talk about. Spooky, scary, paranormal-themed breakfast cereals. Coming in at a cool number 10, we got Spooky Marshmallow Fruit Loops. So it's exactly what it sounds like.
What you see is what you get. I've never heard of that one. Spooky
Marshmallow Fruit Loops.
Huh.
As if Fruit Loops wasn't enough sugar to make your teeth a little bit wiggly. We're going to throw marshmallows in the mix, too.
Toucan Sam just couldn't help himself, huh?
Toucan Sam doesn't have teeth, kids, and there's a reason why. This was basically the Fruit Loop cereal in the shape of ghosts, skeleton masks, and bones with the marshmallows. Otherwise, it was the typical Fruit Loops. They have also they've also created the cereal under alternative names known as not just Spooky Marshmallow Fruit Loops, but Spooky Fruit Loops, Frightening Fruit Loops, Freaky Fruit Loops, and my personal favorite, Haunted Fruit Loops Manor, to make it classic for the kids. Welcome to Haunted Fruit Loops Manor. This is my butler, Marshmallow Mike.
And it only gets better from here. That was only number 10.
It only gets better here. From here on out. Coming in at number 9, Kooky Cocoa Rice Krispies. Halloween season of 2003, Cocoa Rice Krispies had, once again, the theme. You're going to see a theme in here. Marshmallow ghosts. We need to make a marshmallow ghost business, guys. That's what we need to do. I prefer Kooky Cocoa Rice Krispies because the alternate name for this one was Creepy Cocoa Rice Krispies, and that just doesn't feel right on some level.
The best part about Cocoa Krispies is after they're all gone, you get to drink the milk that's turned into chocolate milk.
Exactly.
There you go.
It's like a double treat.
Exactly. You know, the gift of cereal that keeps on giving. And then following the Fruit Loops, the Rice Krispies decided to get a little fancy and came out with also Haunted Cocoa Rice Krispies Manor as well. Another estate there. Descending now.
Yeah, can I tell you guys something? I need to get something off my chest.
Here we go. And this is a safe space, Andy.
This is an open, safe space for sharing, and I know I won't be judged.
We're here to
so
listen.
I will just say, there's been times where I'll finish, a nice, delicious, tasty bowl of cocoa puffs or cocoa pebbles, and I'll take the chocolatey milk and I'll dump a little bit of it in my coffee, just a splash, just to liven up my coffee a little bit, give it a little flavor, give it a little body, and so it's like coffee infused with cocoa puffs. How awesome is that?
That was a pretty mild. I was expecting a much more scathing, piece of
Well, I didn't tell you about the time I put eggnog in my coffee instead of creamer. There was even a time I didn't have any creamer, so I took a spoon of ice cream out of the freezer and put it right in my coffee.
Yeah, that'll get you there.
Yeah, that'll get you zinging. Yeah. Anyway, I feel better for getting that gluttony off my chest there.
Get it off.
That's what we're here for.
Get it off your chest. Since we're all sharing, I've been known to rip open a box of cereal and just dump milk right into that plastic bag and start mowing it down with a serving spoon.
Well, that's what you used to do with you buy the little boxes, right? That come in the, pack of 16 or whatever it is. It's 12 boxes of the little mini cereals. You can just slit the cardboard open and pour the milk in and eat it right out of the box. This one, you just take the lid off, pour milk in, and
Exactly.
You're good to go.
It's like what they call them, walking tacos nowadays. Just throwing up all the ingredients in a bag. You know what my daughter did the other day? We had just a little bit of Lucky Charms and just a little bit of Cocoa Krispies. And she was like, can I mix them together? And I'm like, you're a genius, kid. I was like, you go for it.
This kid's smarter than me. So now moving forward or moving backward, depending on how you feel about this next candy, you guys have heard of the cereal Corn Pops.
Yeah.
Well, how about candy corn pops?
I see what they did there.
I see what you did, meow. Basically, they just took corn pops and threw in candy corn. Straight up candy corn.
Straight up candy corn.
No, they had like other. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? They had other pieces that were shaped like candy corn that had air quotes candy corn flavor.
I see.
And depending on who you are, that might just be just brimstone and death, because some people just hate candy corn with a passion. I like candy corn. I'm one of those weirdos. But yeah, candy corn pops. Moving forward, we've heard of Captain Crunch. Good old Captain Crunch.
Let me guess. Captain Crunch with marshmallow ghosts.
Halloween Haunted Crunch Manor.
Yeah.
No, they went simplistic on this one. They took off the captain and just said, this is Halloween Crunch, y'all.
Halloween Crunch.
Captain Crunch, Halloween Spirit. Let's see, featured the captain dressed as a mummy and a werewolf, alternative boxes. So there you go. Basically, and it's just Captain Crunch, regular old Captain Crunch when in like Halloweeny shapes. Oh, and in a turn that I think is only a bad move, this cereal turns your milk green. That's yeah.
Feels like you're sipping on a bowl of pus, huh?
Right. Who wants booger milk? Not this guy.
Right. You see, that surprises me that they took that slant. If I had Captain Crunch and I was trying to make it spooky for Halloween, I would almost take like a ghost ship approach, almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean type feel to it.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Haunted nautical, and make that milk turn red like the seas when they ran with blood. Oh, don't do that. You're the kid.
But what do we know? We're just the guys who put eggnog in our coffee. So
This is right.
Who are we? We just put ice cream in things. The next one is kind of an obvious one, but still a fun one. Ghostbusters cereal. The Ralston brand cereal, that's kind of going back in time there with that brand too.
Yeah.
1985, that was when that cereal came out, and it had some glow-in-the-dark, cool features on the box, but kind of your typical oats and marshmallow theme for cereal there.
I thought you were going to say the cereal glowed in the dark. I was like,
That would be
is that like a radioactive
It was
ice?
radioactive.
The milk makes your teeth glow in the dark, and it hurts when you pee. Ghostbusters cereal. The next one, we're getting into some classics here that we may find familiar here. Number 5 with Yummy Mummy.
Yummy Mummy.
Which I'm no expert. I'm no paleontologist, but I think most mummies are not yummy. But in this case, this one is delicious. Fruit flavored cereal. Once again has like corn and oats, like clusters with marshmallows. I can tell you guys, ghost marshmallows. That's where the money's at. And
they know the mysteries of the Sphinx as well.
Exactly. And they too are remote viewing. This one I was a fan of as a kid, actually. It was one of the lesser known ones. Fruit Brute.
What?
Fruit Brute?
That threw Andy for a loop. Fruit Brute is basically in that same pantheon of Yummy Mummy and also Frankenberry and the other one we'll talk about here. But Fruit Brute was introduced in the mid-'70s, Pat. So I could picture Pat with his Boston T-shirt and his mullet as he's eating a big old bowl of fruit.
Put some hair on your chest. Fruit Brute.
Where's a Fruit Brute?
Sponsored by Popeye, right?
He's the only werewolf cereal. There's no other werewolf themed cereal here.
Huh.
The television ad said it had a howling good taste of fruit and a fun play on words. And the cereal actually makes a cameo appearance in the Quentin Tarantino film Reservoir Dogs and in Pulp Fiction. Good old Fruit Brute. Coming in at number 3, which
I found there's links online. You can buy like T-shirts and sweatshirts with the Fruit Brute like cereal box cover on them.
Yeah, and it looks
cool
fun.
is
It looks
that?
like it's fun. See, Pat wants some Fruit Brute now. Coming in at number 3, this is where we're getting into the top 3, the trifecta of paranormal cereals. Frankenberry, which we're all,
Yeah.
there we go.
Love some Frankenberry.
Created by General Mills. The number 3, Frankenberry, sweet strawberry flavored cereal with marshmallow bits and a cuddly pink Frankenstein-esque monster.
It'll turn your poop blue. Or was it pink? I don't remember.
Frankenberry was pink.
Frankenberry was pink.
Okay.
Well, no, but Andy, you weren't too far off with the number 2 one that was my personal favorite, Boo Berry.
Blueberry.
And Boo Berry turned everything blue.
Yeah.
Teeth, your tongue. And Boo Berry came out in 1973, so it's technically older than Fruit Brute, but younger than Frankenberry. Frankenberry was 71. Boo Berry and his chocolate friend, which we'll talk about in a little bit more here, was a ghost with a little cute hat on his head. His name is Boo. That's the character's name. And he comes up to little monsters and says boo, causing them to jump in terror. But it's a blueberry flavored cereal. But in a fun twist, no marshmallows on this one.
Really?
I know, right?
I guess I don't remember that. But
And last, but certainly not least, the reigning supreme champion of paranormal cereals, the one, the only, Count Chocula.
nah.
That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody loves that Count Chocula. Completing the total domination of Halloween and paranormal cereals is Count Chocula. Came out same year as Frankenberry in 1971. Chocolate flavor frosted cereal with marshmallow bits. So there's marshmallow bits in this guy. Count Chocula has a memorable slogan. Pat, you might remember this only because you were a child at this time. I want to eat your cereal.
Yes. They used to have some cool commercials.
Yeah. The character of Count Chocula is a vampire who prefers chocolate to blood.
Nice.
He's like, no thanks. You hold on to your blood. I'm here for your chocolate. So that is the top 10 paranormal themed cereals that you can enjoy with yourself and your family on Saturday mornings.
And there's so many more too.
Oh, there's so many more.
Oh, there are.
You have some honorable mentions, Pat? Throw some in there.
Yeah, I do. How about E.T. cereal from 1984?
Some nice alien themed cereal.
You got a picture of E.T. on the cover. One we can't forget is Lucky Charms, right? Because he's a leprechaun.
Oh,
So that's kind of paranormal-esque.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
When are they going to come out with like Bigfoot-O's, or something like that? Just
Watch those.
they could be cereals shaped like Bigfoot's feet,
Marshmallow bits that look like
boulders that he threw at you, right?
Bigfoot leavings.
Chocolate marshmallow drops.
So there was another one that was real popular. It was actually introduced in 1965, and it ran through the mid-'70s and kind of made a quick appearance back in the '80s as well, called Quisp.
Yes.
Quisp. Quisp.
Have an alien.
And it had a little alien guy. He's like a little alien in a green kind of spacesuit, and he was a pink alien with a propeller on the top of his head.
Yeah, I remember the Quisp alien.
The Quisp alien. So I'm
gonna
you're
throw
quasi for energy, they would say.
Oh,
and they were saucer shaped cereal nuggets. So
I'm gonna hang one out there and say that the Quaker guy for the Quaker Oats, he was the original Man in Black. He was a Man in Black.
We're getting into some conspiracy theory territory.
He was onto something. He knew about it.
I would be very surprised if our listeners aren't, they probably got a craving, and now all of our listeners are eating bowls of cereal right now. They just dug into whatever they could find.
Give me that Quisp. Where's that Quasi Quisp back?
Where's that Quisp from 1973? Oh, here it is in the back of the pantry.
Slightly expired.
It's all one fused block of cereal. But yeah, it's a fun look. There's a lot more to pick from, and yeah, we've only kind of scratched the surface. We've talked about it before, doing like a paranormal food review even as a short little video series. So stay tuned for some of those developments on our Facebook page.
That's right. Well, as we come down from our sugar high, we'll wrap up the episode with our with our main course, the main mystery, and I actually have a triple header lined up for you guys coming up next.
My pancreas hurts, Andy.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
Okay, guys. I was thinking to myself, what can I present for this show's main mystery? And I kind of got into a subject where I couldn't pick just one, so I picked an entire category of creatures that are out of place, things that don't belong. You know, and so I pulled a book off my shelf that we have kind of jokingly referred to as our Bible. It's called Unexplained, and it's basically a giant encyclopedia of weird phenomena by an author by the name of Jerome Clark. And I rounded up some stories in the section of out of place beings. And the first one I came across, you guys have all heard this myth before, alligators in the sewers.
Yep.
Yep. Local legend, urban myth, more so in some large cities, primarily New York City. It's a kind of an urban legend of people reporting large gators in the sewers.
And surviving off rats and homeless people.
Well, and Eddie, you're from Florida, where the home of the gators. So did you regularly see alligators out there when you lived in Florida?
Oh, like in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Like
So they just walk around the golf course like they're just like a squirrel. It's just common to see them out there.
Oh, dude, golf courses, parks. I mean, they've said it before, but it's true. If you're near any body of water in Florida, it's best to assume there's an alligator in it. And I mean, typically the ones that I ran across were what you would call babies, but they were still 4 or 5 feet long. Wow. And you just let them go. You're just like, yep, he's on his way, and they will leave you alone. You're not in danger. They're not going to come after you. Usually most of those attacks are people who stumble across one, because they're chasing a golf ball. There's some horror stories on that one. And, people who leave Scrappy out to go to the bathroom. Oh, here you go, Scrappy. And then they go back and all there is a leash, afraid leash. And,
Poor Scrappy.
And so really, but they are dinosaurs. I mean, they are just walking dinosaurs. And when you see one, you just kind of give it way. I mean, I've seen whole lines of traffic just stopped because there was a gator taking his dear sweet time crossing the road.
Just mean mugging him from the side of his eye.
No one was going to get out of their car to move him either.
No. Just, nope. It's all right.
So, I started reading this and I was like, okay, surely this is just urban legends, local myths, gators in the sewer. We've all heard it. Well, apparently on June 28th, 1932, near the Bronx River, right there in New York, there was a 3-foot gator found dead, near that body of water. And 3 foot, so like you said, Eddie, maybe a baby, but I don't think alligators go that far north. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. They don't.
They're cold.
Probably somebody's pet.
Can't survive there. Yeah.
So in, between March 1935 and June 1937, there were both live and dead alligators recovered in that same area. The reports keep coming. February 10th, 1935. So check this out. You guys will relate to this. This will take us back to our childhood. So February 10th, 1935, some teenage boys near the Harlem River, they're shoveling snow, as one does in February in New York.
Right.
Yeah. They were shoveling snow. Apparently there was a manhole cover that was open. It was exposed to the sewers below. Back then, I guess they didn't worry so much about kids falling in. They just viewed it as a life lesson. If you're dumb enough to fall in, kid, it's your own fault. Climb back out.
That'll learn you.
That'll learn you good. So these teenage boys stumbled across a manhole cover. What do you do when you're a teen and there's an open manhole cover in February? You shovel snow into it naturally.
Oh, yeah. You just fill that sucker up.
You fill it up with snow. So what they did is they looked down below, and about 10 feet below them, down in the pipe down there, was a giant alligator, and they could see it. It looked like it was trying to get up. It was trying to escape. So what do as teenage boys? Well, they get a big piece of rope.
Yeah.
They make it into a lasso. They must have used all of their combined strength, because what happened is they lowered it down, They somehow got the gator attached to it. They pulled the sucker up, pulled him up onto street level. And this kind of, I kind of cringed at this part, but it was, the book made no qualms about it. They proceeded to take shovels and end the gator's life, which I thought was a bit excessive.
The 1930s.
Yeah. Simpler times, back when you could bash a gator right in the middle of the street. Yeah.
That's a Little Rascals episode gone wrong right there. That's all that.
Totally. So that they actually ended up taking the carcass to, I don't know, they took it somewhere to have it weighed and measured. It turns out it was 125 pounds.
That's not a small gator.
That's not a small, 7.5 feet long.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah. So, eventually there was the superintendent of sewers there in New York. He got, kind of fed up. He hadn't seen one. He had heard reports. He thought maybe, some of these reports of people seeing them down in the sewers could be attributed to city workers drinking on the job. So he says, good old Teddy, I'm going to take a flashlight down there. I'm going to go see for myself.
Nope.
Well, sure enough, he saw some big ones with his own eyes. And so, in reading further in this book, it said that between 1843 and 1983, no less than 84 alligators were found in the sewers in the United States. And Lauren Coleman, who is actually a well-known cryptozoologist and Bigfoot hunter, he chimed in this book with a good point that these are gators, these are alligators, which first of all are not native to New York. Nope. Secondly, on the off chance that you can, on the black market that you can buy or even at like an exotic pet store, people would buy caimans. Caimans are like a cousin of the alligator. They're not nearly as big.
Nope.
They're not near, they have similar features, but they're not nearly as big. So he said that still doesn't account for why we're finding alligators, not caimans. How they got there, nobody knows, because it's not like you can find a gator in a pet store and then flush it down the toilet and then it grows into gargantuan sizes. So what we have here is a creature that truly does not belong in a location that it continuously is sighted at. So I racking my brain, I can't think of any theories. I'm stumped here.
It's a portal, baby. That's going straight at it.
There's an underground gator tunnel that goes from Florida to New York, right?
Yeah, it's the gator timeshare. They're like, it's great up there, I swear. And like, I guess we'll go. It sounds.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking black market, and people get tired of them and they flush them down the toilet or something. They ended up in the sewers.
More often, that's usually.
I mean,
I was halfway. I have 1 foot on the portal theory. That's all.
I'm the spoil sport of this one, but
that, Pat, you sucked all the fun right out.
I did, didn't I?
I'm just thinking, if you flush a gator down the toilet, you better darn sure make sure it's not coming back up when you're doing number 2.
This is
right?
true. This is true.
New York gator too. He's coming back with like a knife or something. Lead pipe.
Hey, I'm walking here. Hey,
you gotta push me down the toilet, eh? I brought my friends with me now. Now you're not so tough.
forget about it, eh?
Sleep with the caimans.
You think I'm funny? You think I'm funny?
If I make you
Do I amuse you?
so funny.
You think I'm a clown?
Think I'm an alligator? You think I'm a crocodile or something? I'm an alligator. I'll put a mark on you. We lost Andy.
Sorry.
I'm with you with the discarded pets zoos. I mean, the New York had and has a zoo, and this is what, again, we're talking about the 1930s, Andy.
Yeah, 1930s primarily.
Anybody will die laughing their heads off. Look this up. And guys, you grew up in this town. I didn't, and I don't know if you heard the story, but you guys ever heard about those monkeys that went loose in Omaha and caused all that trouble in about the same time frame?
No, I didn't.
No.
You guys ever heard about
I
this?
don't think I've ever heard that story.
So there's a park here in Omaha called Elmwood Park.
Sure.
And in Elmwood Park, there, I believe, was, and there may still be, a sizable pond, a big one. And they had in the middle of this pond, at least at that time, there was like a small island, like a little patch of trees in the middle of this pond. And one of the Parks and Rec people, once again, this is like the 20s, 30s, and they're like, you know what this town needs? We need tourism. We need more tourism in this town. And one thing I think will be fascinating to have on this island in the middle of this pond would be some monkeys. People would come, and they were like capuchin monkeys. They weren't like, full-on great apes and stuff. They didn't have like, chimps and gorillas running through the town. But they were like these little capuchin monkeys, like those little guys you see like on Night at the Museum and stuff.
Right.
Or like on a pirate's shoulder in Pirates of the Caribbean. And so they got a bunch of these capuchin monkeys, like 20 of them. And they were like, all right, they're on the island. And then they literally were like, we're all happy, all, shoulder clapping each other. Like, we're geniuses. We're going to make so much money. People are going to come and see our Omaha monkeys. And they didn't even stop to think for half a second
that the monkeys can swim.
Our monkeys can swim. And they were on the island. The news article is hilarious. You will tear up. You will pee laughing a little. Those monkeys were on the island for less than 5 minutes. They were like, hey, I'm bored. I'm bored. They jumped in the water, to the people's horror, as the monkeys got to the other side of the shore and just tore off into Omaha.
So when was this?
It was like in the 20s. It was like the late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, the monkeys of Elmwood Park. You got to look this up. And they literally were like causing a ruckus in Omaha. They were like jumping up on people's balconies and throwing fruit. It was stealing babies. It was not a good look.
By Jove, those monkeys can swim.
All the monocles dropped when those monkeys jumped in the water. They were like, oh, odds bodskins! Look at these monkeys! Who knew? Did you know they could swim?
Go over to Exarban, they're riding the horses around the track.
Guns. There's Planet of the Apes in this town. What's happening? Whose idea was this? The guy who said running.
That's not a jockey.
What? That human jockey is really tiny. It's a monkey! One of them
we went off the rails on this one.
Like, how did he get in there? What'd you say?
We went off the rails on this one.
I'm just surprised you guys didn't hear about that.
No, I'm going to have to go look this up. That's my project tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got to compose myself. That was phase 1 of the 3-part main mystery with a bonus from Eddie there.
Nice.
Can't believe I've never heard that story before.
Look it up. It's crazy.
Man.
All right. Well,
They had to gun the poor monkeys down. That's the other side to that sad story. Sorry, I'm not laughing. It's just crazy. Like,
Well,
it's your fault.
earlier we were talking about various cereals turning various body parts different colors.
Yep.
Have you guys heard of the case from the 12th century England of the green children that were found?
Oh, those green kids. Yeah, because this is in Britain, right? In England?
Yeah, correct. So,
Yeah.
12th century, this actually took place in Suffolk, England. There was 2 children, presumably a brother and sister, that were found in a field. Some people were plowing the field, and they found these 2 kids that were crying hysterically. So the adults took them to a nearby town of Woolpit, and they were actually held and cared for inside the home of somebody by the name of Sir Richard de Calne. And so the children had green skin. There was a green hue to it. They had strange clothes on that were comprised of a material that nobody could identify. Furthermore, the kids did not speak a lick of English, which is bizarre in and of itself. And they loved beans. These kids looked malnourished. They tried to get them to eat something, anything. They wouldn't touch any human food until they gave them beans. And even initially, I think that it was kind of like a green bean. And initially they acted like they had never seen such a food before. They didn't know how to eat it. They were unsure of it. And kind of once they got them better acquainted with beans, that's all the children wanted to eat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beans for breakfast,
Beans.
for lunch, beans for dinner.
More you eat, more you toot.
That's right, green toots. Green toots for everybody.
Green toots.
So the children eventually became kind of assimilated. They slowly picked up English. Unfortunately, the boy eventually passed away from poor health, and the girl eventually learned more English. And in talking to her, she reported that they had come from a place called St. Martin's Land. St. Martin's Land. And they reported that, what they can remember before being found in the field was that they came from a place, it was otherworldly. It was almost like a cave where there was no sun. They reported that almost like twilight conditions, almost like how bright it is just after sunset. They reported that's what they were used to, and they reported that everything, in Suffolk, England, seemed too bright. They said that the place where they came from had no sun, but there was a large river, and at the end of this river, there was almost like a glowing something. There was like a glowing entity that kind of resembled the sun, but it was different. St. Martin's Land. So the girl eventually, she grew up, she learned English, she actually got married and, kind of began, life 2.0, as it were. Not everybody subscribes to the idea that this was, that these were green Martians or that the kids, came from some, portal, from some distant place or time. Some people speculate there might have been a down-to-earth explanation. One researcher says that near Suffolk, England, was the Flint mines, and the Flint mines were near Thetford Forest, which was near the village of Fordham, St. Martin. So might not be too much of a stretch, maybe. Who knows? Maybe the children were, we can only speculate. Maybe they were part of a cult. Maybe they were badly treated. Maybe they were confined. Perhaps they lived a very sheltered life where they weren't allowed to go, beyond their own little bubble. But it is interesting. The green skin, the not speaking English thing really gets me, though, because, okay, even if these kids were raised in weird circumstances, why didn't they know English? It's
you get into weird, like you were getting into like those break off cultures, like people who like, the Appalachian mountain people that live up there and have their own dialects and stuff like that. Certainly a possibility. The story, the telephone game with the story like that, they could easily have gone from, they were pale and malnourished to they were green and had, and superpowers. But on the flip side of it too, you start getting into these stories about these cave dwelling, cultures of humanoids. In this case, a lot of giants, and these kids weren't big; they were just normal sized. But I don't know. There is something fascinating to that potential of there being like you said, Andy, like a offshoot humanoid civilization living on their own.
Well, and there's no shortage of caves. If they did come from a cave, granted this was in England, but if I'm not mistaken, here in the United States, we have the largest underground cave network anywhere in the world. You get over into Missouri and Kentucky. They got more caves and underground tunnels than they know what to do with. God knows what's in there.
Yeah,
that could be worse.
There's stories about what people believe are like goblins or something that come out of caves in West Virginia or West Virginia and Kentucky. Yeah,
and Kentucky. Yeah, you have Mammoth. I've been in Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. Mammoth is no understatement. It's huge. God only knows what's in there. Green children, zombies, Bigfoot. Who knows? Who knows? That's a weird one. So that's part 2. Part 3, a little bit closer to home, boys. We come to the Midwest of the United States.
Because we are homeboys.
I'm home, and we're boys.
That's right. So, kangaroos. Known to be in Australia, not so much Nebraska, correct?
Correct.
So far, yeah.
So, and excuse me if I block the screen a little bit here with my giant book.
Now, if a monkey's riding one, you can sign me up for the loony bin because I'm done.
There's a monkey riding a kangaroo. You got yourself a show. I'll buy a ticket.
Done.
So, yeah, there's a lot of sightings of kangaroos around the Midwest. Actually, on June 12th, which is actually my sister's birthday. Hi, Elizabeth.
Happy birthday, Elizabeth.
1899, a couple years before she was born. And this was in New Richmond, Wisconsin. There was a woman who saw a kangaroo bouncing through a neighbor's yard. Now, the circus was in town, so naturally she thought, okay, a kangaroo got loose from the circus. She asked the people at the circus. They owned no kangaroos. So
Yeah.
either A, they were lying, or B, we have a cryptid sighting. Now, cryptid, is not just a creature like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. A cryptid could be any animal that's unexpected or not known to live in certain parts. So
Right.
kangaroo in the Midwest would be a cryptid creature. So the following year, in Mays Landing, New Jersey, there was another sighting of a farm family heard a scream actually coming from a nearby barn. And what they said was they saw a big, huge creature, about 150 pounds, they guesstimated. But the odd thing is that it sounded like a woman screaming in an awful lot of pain. So that's cause for alarm. Kangaroos don't scream, do they?
They have a weird call. I know
Do
that
they?
much.
I know
It's like a sheep and it's a weird sound.
I know Tasmanian devil has a hell of a scream, obviously, but
Don't they just go ooh ooh ah, ooh ee, ooh, eh.
This segment is brought to you by Looney Tunes. So anyway, after they saw the creature, sounded like a woman screaming, and they later went out and measured the foot tracks, and they were 8 to 10 feet apart, which I believe is consistent with kangaroos. Actually, some kangaroos can bound even further than that between jumps. So yeah, you got yourself a kangaroo. And then 1934 in rural Tennessee, in January, actually, kangaroos in Australia. I mean, you think of kangaroos, they're used to Australia, warm climate. I mean, I'm thinking a kangaroo in January, even in Tennessee, January is going to be freezing cold.
Chilly.
But a person saw what looked like it was fast as lightning is what they reported, and they said it looked just like a giant kangaroo. Now, kangaroos are usually not aggressive and they're vegetarians, but witnesses claim that this creature actually attacked and killed dogs, geese, and ducks.
Now, kangaroos have been known to beat up dogs.
Did you guys see that video of that guy that squares up and punches the kangaroo because it was trying to mess with their dog?
Pop right in his face. Yeah, it's great and if you look, that kangaroo has his dog in a weird chokehold.
Yeah,
he's holding his dog down by its neck, and it's weird seeing a not human. But the kangaroos kind of have that shoulder.
It's eerie.
They look like people almost. And yeah, that guy runs up there and just checks him right in his face. Just a quick little pop, a jab, and it stuns the kangaroo. The kangaroo's like, "What the heck was that?"
And he drops the dog.
And drops the dog.
Yeah, if our listeners have not seen that video, pause this podcast, get on YouTube, and look up we're not condoning kangaroo violence. You don't just hurt kangaroos for sport.
No, don't be punching kangaroos.
But this kangaroo, like Eddie said, he had this guy's dog in a chokehold, and
he had it coming.
Dogs are our best friends, so of course he had to protect his kid, and he just wallops this kangaroo. Kangaroo was okay; it hopped off. I mean,
and that's dangerous too, because kangaroo, especially kangaroo males, they have especially when they're kind of entering into their puberty phase. They have I don't know how I know this much about kangaroos. I just do. Eddie's Kangaroo Corner. They have a crazy testosterone dump, and they get yoked. If you look up, like, it's crazy.
They're all roided out and
they look roided out, and it's not Photoshop. These kangaroos have like traps and pecs, and they have like crazy like bodybuilder.
Well, yeah, I just recently saw a video where there was a kangaroo like trying to get into somebody's house or like looking at. They had like this big picture window, and he was banging against it. This thing had a 6-pack. It was huge.
They have abs.
I mean, it was buff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd be terrified if that thing was hitting on my window.
I'd be getting a cannon. Oh, get it out of here.
We almost need to reach out to our super fan, David from Australia, who chimes in from time to time. And maybe David, he's got some kangaroo stories for us.
I've heard they're a menace, frankly. But anyway, the point is, like, that guy going up there and just popping one in the face, that guy is brave as the day is long, because those things can really, they'll put a hurting on you, I think.
And I don't know, they're just human looking enough that it gives you the willies.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know. It's possible that these kangaroos, were killing small animals and, ducks and geese and dogs, but, I don't know if they were eating them necessarily. I guarantee a swift kick from a kangaroo to a smaller animal would kill that animal.
Oh yeah.
There's no question about it.
You see it bounce off a cheeseburger in his hand. You're like, well, I thought you were vegetarian. What's happening?
So, it goes on and on. January 1949, the headlights of a Greyhound bus actually picked up a strange creature crossing a highway near Grove City, Ohio. It was about 5.5 feet high, hairy, brown in color, and that was from the driver named Louis Staub. And but the weird thing about this particular case, he says it actually appeared to be on all fours, not necessarily bouncing across the road. So that makes you wonder: are we into like chupacabra territory? Like, what is that?
Or even weird. A Sasquatch. Sometimes they say Bigfoots will be on all fours, running around.
And Bigfoots are certainly known to be jacked. Yeah, hitting the gym, hitting Globo Gym.
Just Bigfoot shredded.
All right, so here's a lot much closer to home, boys. 1958, kangaroos were in the vicinity of Nebraska towns, 2 different towns actually, as far as 100 miles apart. So you can rule out just, misidentification. You can rule out just one rogue kangaroo in 2 different towns, a long ways apart from each other. And check this out. There was a brewery owner by the name of Charles Wetzel. And when he caught wind of these kangaroo sightings, he even gave one of his beers the brand name of the Wetzel Kangaroo Beer. He saw a marketing opportunity and he quote unquote jumped at it.
Yeah.
Let's see what you did.
See what I did there with the funny?
That's funny. You queued it right up.
Last one that I'll mention, April 24th, 1978. 2, I'm going to butcher this, Menominee Falls? Menominee.
Menominee.
It's in Wisconsin. 2 men snapped 2 Polaroid photos of a huge kangaroo in the brush alongside a highway. And Lauren Coleman, who's the leading authority on North American kangaroo sightings, naturally.
I want that job.
Lauren Coleman is the authority on every cryptid in every state that has no explanation. But anyway, he says that it shows a tan animal with lighter brown front limbs, hints of lighter brown hind limbs, dark brown or black spotches around the eyes, upright ears. It's a kangaroo. And he says it actually compares favorably with what's known as Bennett's wallaby or brush kangaroo, which is native to Tasmania, not near anywhere where we're from. So
not near Hastings.
Not near Hastings. So there you go. Too many accounts to dismiss. We can't deny it, but we can't explain it. You rule out circus escapes. What are we left with? Are they falling out of spaceships flying above?
I mean, there are so many ways. I mean, like Pat was saying before, like black market stuff, just weird rich people who are like, I already have everything my heart desires. What else shall I have?
Bring me a llama.
A kangaroo butler, perhaps. And
then they put them in their backyard and they jump over the fence, and the rest is history.
It's just like Monkey Island. Just like the Monkey Island. They lasted for 5 minutes and then it jumps the fence. Did you know kangaroos could jump fences? No, I didn't know. Did you?
Didn't even think about it.
They got the kangaroo in like a tuxedo that's been specifically designed for a kangaroo, and he rips it off. He's so jacked. Just, jumps over the 12-foot high fence. Well, I'll be. It's like, oh God. I mean, it's like Tiger King. Gosh. I don't know if you guys or any of our listeners watched that series over the old.
I did not go there on purpose. Yeah,
either yes, watch it, or don't. Follow your gut on that one. But
my God.
But yeah, I mean, there's people living in rural. I think it was like Oklahoma or something like that. And I mean, they're hearing like tigers roaring in the middle of rural Oklahoma or whatever, and they're like, that's not normal. They got exotic animals just everywhere, and sometimes they get loose, and it's probably more likely that, but it's weird that there's so many sightings like that. You know?
Yeah.
It is
It's weird. This was a fun episode, guys, from alien government conspiracies to cereal to bouncing kangaroos in the Midwest. I think we've covered it all. We can lay this episode to bed.
Yeah, your listeners should be exhausted from this one. Like a kangaroo jumping around.
Well, thanks for that one. Good one.
Yeah, Andy, that was an awesome one.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All you listeners, as always, you know the drill. You can find all of our pictures, posts, all of our crazy content on all of our social media platforms. You can reach us through email, and big shout out to all the people at freesound.org. It's where we get a lot of our sound bites and little audio clips from.
Be sure to like, comment, and share on your favorite social media platforms, everything from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook, and tell your friends and family about what we're doing. If you think that they'd like us or just be entertaining to listen to. A lot of people have come back and been like, we play you guys when we're having a nice campfire or something like that. So just share the Paranormal Dad experience with your friends and family.
And finally, of course, from all of us here at Paranormal Dads, we want to wish everyone a happy new year, and may everyone have just a fantastic 2021.
It's going to be good. It's going to be the best.
It's going to be a great one.
Take care, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you had fun.
See ya. I'm going to get a Dr. Pepper. I'll be right back.
Be right back.
Reminds me of that the Forrest Gump part of that movie where he's like, I must have drank 13 Dr. Peppers.
Lord bless Pat's soul. We'll miss him forever.
Welcome to a sophisticated episode of Paranormal Dads. Eddie has a charcuterie tray of the finest meats and cheeses.
Fine. When in doubt, pinkies out, gents.
Eddie currently has his finger extended to show how sophisticated he actually is as he munches on his cheese and his saltine cracker.
It's a burden and a blessing being this sophisticated.
He's beef Wellington, see?